it's time for me to expose exactly how much it costs to have a baby. Just so you know, I'm in Louisiana. I did have a non-C-section. I don't think I can say that other word on YouTube. Delivery. It was induced, meaning I went in at 10 p.m., took some medicine. It didn't work. Around 7 a.m., they broke my water. Then I got put on Pitocin, and that night at 6:11, I had our child. So you're going to see the breakdown of the cost of that along with staying the night for 2 nights. And this is just what I was billed for by the hospital. Also doesn't include anything that Finley had done. And since he's a boy, we did opt for, so that was on there. And he has his own separate billing. So let's just talk about how much it cost me to do this. I will do another video that kind of goes over in detail my birth story. I want to do it with Hannah because she is more medical and she also witnessed it without being drugged. I did not. And then I also will go over how much it costs for us to make a baby as a same-sex couple, which a lot of people have questions on. So let's dive right into it. Let's get started with the first bill that we got. So I'm going to break it down and then give you the total. The labor room and delivery, it's broken into 4 different charges. The first one is the first 8 hours, and then it's the actual delivery being a level 2 because I had a level 2 tear. And then each additional 8 hours also has a charge. The first 8 hours is $3,588. The actual delivery was $3,500. My first 8 hours is $2,536. Second 8 hours is another $2,536. So altogether, just the room for me to have all of that was $12,160. But we all know you have to have your labs done. Your labs go through your IV, so you get that the moment you walk in, and then they're going to do all these different tests. So for that, it's $852 total. Some of them include just like blood typing, a complete panel workup to make sure I'm okay to go home, to make sure I'm okay to give birth. You have multiple kind of done. They also test your blood type to make sure if you're Rh positive or negative, even if you know they're going to do it again. So yeah, $852 for that. And this is where it's absolutely crazy. The pharmacy. The pharmacy does include, I had to have penicillin through my IV throughout labor because I was GBS positive. There's nothing negative, obviously, around being GBS positive. Just got some bacteria up in there, and they want to give it to you because 1% of infants that are not, pretty sure it's 1%, that are not treated like by the mother, they can end up with all different issues. So I, of course, wanted to have that and not labor at home and risk passing that on to our son. So I had penicillin multiple times. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4. So 4 times. They do it every 4 hours, and that's the moment I got in there, they started doing that. Each of those cost $171. And then I'm obviously paying for any kind of fluid. There's fentanyl that goes through your IV specifically for you to have your epidural. I did opt for an epidural after a few hours. And then they also had to come in and push more drugs through it because my epidural was starting to fail in a spot. So I was starting to feel everything. And it was so great because I was so afraid of getting one. I got it, and it was the easiest thing in my life. And then it felt great for a few hours, but then all of a sudden it came back twice as fast because obviously I was progressed so far. But it's okay. And then Tylenol, ibuprofen, and prenatal vitamins. Every single pill that's like prenatal or Tylenol cost me $5.24 for one pill. Wow, I should have just brought my own. And then, so altogether for my pharmacy, it was $2,254. That's for 3 days. And then room and board 3 days in a private room cost me $5,109. I was there 3 nights, each at $1,703. The treatment and observation room, which is my epidural injection. So You also have to have a catheter if you have an epidural. So those are the 2 charges. The epidural itself is $3,450 and the catheter insertion is $364. So my epidural injection cost me $3,814 and it was worth it. Even if it was failing, it was worth it. So yeah, altogether total, we had a bill to insurance of $24,189.49. Insurance covered $22,189. We were in network with our hospital, so we did get like discounts there. And I only had to pay my copay of $2,000. All in all, completely worth it. Loved that for me. But then you also have like different claims go out. So my OB obviously needed to be paid. Glorious woman she is. And for an OB, that charge was $5,789. I didn't have to pay any of that, like copay wise, but that's what she was billed. I also had another charge for them coming back in and doing my epidural for my anesthesia. And for those, it was $3,000. I also didn't have to pay anything extra on it. So altogether, to have a baby in the state of Louisiana, in network where I was, it cost around $30,000 and I only had to pay $2,000, so definitely worth it. I loved my hospital and my labor and delivery experience. My biggest piece of advice for you is tour the hospital, get to know the nurses. If they have a Lamaze class, do it, or if they have like a birth class, do it. I knew my labor and delivery nurse before I went in. She actually made sure she was on my, like, me coming in. I texted her and told her, like, this is the day I'm getting induced. She was like, I will be there. And she was. And to me, she knew how afraid I was, and she made sure I was good. And then obviously pick your OBs wisely because they can make or break how you feel. And like I said, I'm going to do a video about my labor and delivery experience, and huge kudos to her because when she told me it was time to go, she was like, I'm going to go do this other person and I'll be back in here. She walked in and she looked at me and she knew I was afraid, and I told her, I'm really scared. And she said, that's okay. You've never done this before. That's normal, but I've done quite a few and you're going to be all right. And it was almost like a cheerleading team the whole time. I didn't look at all. I told them to cover my face with a rag because I don't do well with blood and I was trying to not pass out. So yeah, all in all, that is how much it cost me to have a baby and a little sprinkle of my labor and delivery experience. And make sure you like, comment, follow, subscribe, all the things so that you can see our delivery story. And we're going to go over the whole fertility process, our failed fertility clinic times, our successful fertility clinics, and let you know kind of how that process went for us. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Bye.